Hello everyone and welcome back to Project Ozone Reloaded Titan mode. This is episode 19 and a huge amount has changed around the base. This is the same floor that you might recognize from before where I had all of my item storage. I still do have all of my item storage on this level, but I've completely eliminated the logistics pipe system from the base for the time being, and I've switched it all over to AE. So that involved an extensive amount of redoing a lot of stuff in the base. First of all, let's look at what I've set up for the AE system. The core of any AE system, of course, is going to be the controller, because this is what provides all of your channels for your AE cabling. And the way that I've set this up is I've got this sort of donut shape here, and the side that you're looking at is probably never going to have any cables coming out of it, because I want to try, at least on this level, to conceal cabling. So the way I've set it up here is I've got my drives on top and they are touching the controller, so they can actually stack up all the way to the ceiling. So I can have 15 drives here for storage. That's probably going to be adequate for the whole game. If it isn't, then I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I will put some more drives somewhere, I guess. I just haven't really given any thought to where. But because they're touching the controller, they don't even need any cabling. They can just go straight up to 8 drives high, but there's only room for 5. So the other places where cables can come out and they can still be completely concealed, of course, is in the floor. I've got 3 cables, and they're running over here to this block of crafting stuff. More on that later. To these processing, whatever, basically crafting CPUs. And there's also one that runs over here to this bank of storage drawers, which is the same bank of storage drawers before, but I'm now only using compacting drawers on it. There is room on the back, and I have not completely concealed the back yet. Eventually this column will be solid. It won't have glass in it. I've got 2 cables coming out the back, but there's room for 8 cables to come directly out the back, and then I will probably use P2P tunnels to get 4 more out the center here. I believe that will work. I have not set it up yet, but I think I can use P2P tunnels to get 4 times 32, or what is 4 times 32? 128 channels out the back of it off of a single cable, and take that either upstairs or downstairs. Not sure which it will be. So on the next level down, you can actually see where some of those cables going. This is still the same crafting level as before. It's been added to just a little bit. I did add 4 more lasers, but you can see that I'm having a little bit of a power restriction on my lasers right now. That is not really that I'm out of power. It's more sort of a functional problem with the way the power distribution is working. But clearly I do need to up my power, and that is something I'm going to do in the base. The rest of it's all about the same. As you can see here, I did do what I had mentioned before that I could do with this ex-nihilo ore processing system. I just replaced this chest that used to be here with an interface, and then I've got storage modules or storage buses on each of these pieces and wired it up directly into the AE system, and otherwise this whole system is intact. It has not changed at all. I did add some pulverizing here. I forget exactly what I'm pulverizing. Oh, I think it's where are the recipes set up in it? They're coming in the back. So this is pulverizing to get dust for quartz and stuff. And I've also set up automated manufacturing for processors down here and a couple other minor things. Nothing huge. So for the moment, this is still gradually expanding the automated manufacturing on this level. The next level down is where I've been doing power gen. It is still the same power gen as it was before. That is going to change today. It looks like I'm out of lava, and that may be part of my power restriction. Let me just fix that on camera so I can show you how to do it. It looks like I ran out of netherrack, and I believe that's probably the case because I've been melting netherrack, but I don't have any sort of automatic mining or production for it. Let me go into the system here and get some cobblestone and go back down. And right here where I'm telling it to export netherrack, I'll just change it to export cobblestone. Just go ahead and toss some in there. And that should fix this all up so that it starts to generate lava again and then generates power. I don't believe cobble generates as much lava as netherrack, but I think it's probably perfectly adequate. It looks like our lasers are firing up just a little bit more, but you can see that we've actually got plenty of power in the vibrant capacitor bank. It's just not being nicely distributed. Okay, so here I set up all of my terminals that I had quested, plus a couple of others. I did go ahead and add an ME interface terminal, which allows you to manage all of those interfaces in the system, all the crafting recipes that are in them, without walking over to the interface and loading it up manually. I added an ME terminal, an ME crafting terminal, and an ME pattern terminal. All those I believe I had to make before, as well as the gas terminal and the fluid terminal. I'm currently not storing any gas or fluids. The other stuff that I did on this sort of wall is just sort of stuff that's nice to have. You've got to have an energy acceptor. I went ahead and located it here. And I wanted the cell workbench and the ME IO port. Those are very useful for cleaning up any sorts of things that aren't stored very well in your ME system and making sure you're making the best use of the space that you've got available. The other thing that is here is there's an ender chest. This chest is set up to allow me to use an ender pouch I can just take, and when my inventory fills up, I can toss it in here and it will actually go from the pouch. The pouch and the chest are shared inventory, so it can be imported straight into the AE system while I'm not anywhere near my base. Very convenient. This block right here is actually a conduit bundle, and it's got the conduit that goes from the chest into this interface. But it's actually a little more useful than that because I can take this Ender IO conduit that's in here is actually configured to pull items out of any inventories that are adjacent to it. So if I have like one of these storage drawers, if I wanted to unload it into the AE system, I could just plop it down right here or right here, and it would just get emptied into the AE system. And so it's sort of an invisible location to transfer items into the system. So that's about it. I'm using my usual sort of crafting setup here. This column will eventually be 4 blocks high, and it's just got, at the moment 12, but eventually 16 molecular assemblers hooked up with, I guess at the moment 24 interfaces, but in the future it will be 48. I find this to be a pretty efficient way to set them up. You can get 18 recipes on each molecular assembler because it's got 2 interfaces connected to it. And the power goes up through the middle. With Applied Energistics, power will not go through the interface into the device, so you have to have a separate location for power. Just putting the power through the middle, it doesn't take any channels. So the total number of channels this will use when it's fully built will be 32, because that's how many interfaces it will have on it, and that happens to be exactly the amount you can get through the smart cable bundle that's running through the floor right, well, there. So putting these items back, that's the ME system for now. It has been growing quite a bit. I'm going to try on this level at least to keep all the cables concealed, and I will try to keep them a little more neat elsewhere than I have maybe in the past. But I don't know how much I'm going to succeed. I'm just naturally sort of sloppy and string cables and stuff, whatever. But I'm at least not using immersive engineering wiring and stringing telephone wires everywhere. Okay, so let's look at what quests I did between episodes. As usual, I'm mostly just clearing up stuff that is sort of boilerplate, same quest as the last one, with a couple of exceptions. Let's look in Alpha at one of the exceptions. There was a quest to get a bucket of tectonic petroleum, and I did finish that one. I did not manufacture it. There's a way to manufacture this using the block from thermal expansion that melts stuff. trying to remember what it is, and I'm just not having much luck. It's a little early in the morning for me still, haven't had enough coffee. But that's not how I got this anyway. I got a fluid cow that makes this, so I have that available. It says here it can be used to make oil, but I actually already have quite a bit of oil also from fluid cows, so I may not need this for making oil. Let's go ahead and claim the reward. And in the bag we have growth pulsars. Now that may actually be somewhat useful. There's an achievement for that in the simple achievements book. Or an achievement that involves it. So it's good to have some of those, save me manufacturing it later. Okay, in the Delta chapter, I did finish the Vibrantium alloy. This is the alloy that involved crystallizing villager souls, and so it was taking a long time and a lot of materials. Let's go ahead and get that reward. And see what we got besides 3/4 of a heart. That's nice. Another star. So that's actually going to be pretty helpful. I'm actually going to have to automate manufacturing those. So getting one right now is only going to be helpful if I find something for which I need exactly one nether star that's a high priority item. We'll see. And in the Ada chapter, which is the Applied Energistics, in between episodes I went ahead and finished this sort of hierarchical making all of the different crafting CPUs. If you look at my crafting CPU setup over here, all of these are exactly the same at the moment. They all have 2 co-processing units and 1 crafting storage and a monitor. I actually find that it's convenient to make them all the same. You can make each of these different, but what happens then is that unless you deliberately choose which CPU you're going to send every crafting process to, it may not send it to the one you want. In fact, it usually sends it to the largest CPU, even if it's a small order, and I often find that pretty inconvenient. So I'm just making them all the same, and I don't have to deal with that. I will probably expand all of these, putting in more 64K crafting storage and more crafting co-processing units. Okay, so let's accept these. And it looks like they all just give a reward bag and a chance cube on those. Now the other one that I'm working on, again, because they're all sort of boilerplate type stuff, I mean, it's more of the same. It's just a big long hierarchy, and you've got to do them all one at a time because they set up a bunch of quests for them. And that's the storage cells. So let me just go ahead and claim all of these. I think some of them, most of them have chance cubes, but there are a couple that are different. See, this one also has a reward bag, so let's get that. So let's open the bags, see what we got. These are epic bags. So I got a structure generator, small wizard tower ruins, and a starfield creator from Britannia. This is a greater reward bag, jeweled apples, and this one's just a good reward bag, which has a meteorite compass. You can probably find the meteorites in a couple places. I know in the last Project Ozone they were available in the mining world. That said, you don't really need it because you can make all of the stuff that you would need, that you would get out of the meteorite chests without it. Okay, so let's put all this away. And one of the things that I noticed after the episode last time was that when I did all of that Applied Energistics stuff, and I believe it was probably the particle assembler quest that did it, we opened up a new chapter. The new chapter that's opened is Kappa, and Kappa is about Project E, which is a great one to have open, and I would love to be able to do something in it. However, the first step is the Philosopher's Stone, and if we look at the recipe for the Philosopher's Stone, it's just a little bit over the top, because actually most of this stuff will not be too bad. I'll have to do a little advancement in Britannia to get Elementium ingots and Terrasteel ingots. I have a nether star here. I just got one from the quest, so maybe I could avoid doing it, except that this requires multiple nether stars because I'm going to need a draconic flux capacitor to make this, and the draconic flux capacitor requires awakened draconium, which of course is made with awakened draconium ingots and Weavern cores. Weavern cores, of course, require lots of draconium, nether stars, some stuff like that. And so this is going to require a bit of advancement, and I'm probably going to make that advancement pretty soon. I'm not entirely sure when, but I probably will make it quite soon. I'd like to find... I don't think Awakened Draconium has any way to make it other than the normal way through Draconic Evolution. It does not have an EMC value. It does not have a seed for it that you can grow it, I don't believe. Now, regular Draconium does, so you don't need to go mine regular Draconium once you get the seed. It does require some Draconium ore. I'm hoping I can mine some of that in the end, and I will have that. But the Awakened Draconium, you actually do have to go through the ritual involving the dragon hearts, and so you've got to farm dragons for it. I guess I will be doing that. So that's going to happen. It's probably going to start sometime soon because I do want to get into Project E. But aside from when it comes to the nether stars, not only do I have to have them for that recipe, I have to have them to make the crafting table for that recipe. So there's going to have to be some automated wither stuff done. I can get wither skeleton skulls using agricraft from seeds. I've already got that sort of underway. I've made the seed. So I'm going to start with that, and I will probably be expanding agriculture sometime soon by quite a bit. But what I want to work on today is some more power gen. And I've been looking at what I can do, and I think the next one on the agenda here is in fact going to be the diesel generator from Immersive Engineering. And so I'm going to need to make all of these blocks. Now the diesel generator, if I can get my engineer's book here. Here's the engineer's manual from Immersive Engineering. It's very small on this interface, so I don't think you'll be able to make heads or tails of it on YouTube. But if I go here into power wires and generators, there is the diesel generator entry here. And what I'm seeing here is that it's a large multi-block structure, which is fine in this base because I'm just going to take and build it and I can leave it in place. Now I actually think the mechanism power generation will be pretty good too, and I will probably use that for anything that might need to be portable because those generators are powerful and you can just pick them up and take them somewhere. Having said that, I am going to build this. It says here that it will generate 156,750 RF per tick, which is a huge amount compared to what I'm using right now. It also says it requires a lot of fuel. It says it will burn a bucket of gasoline in 375 ticks. It turns out that that is about the production rate of a single gasoline cow, under the assumption that the cow generates gasoline at the same rate that most other fluid cows work, and under the assumption that the gasoline cow does in fact give gasoline. What I found when I hit one with a bucket, and I've actually got 3 gasoline cows in storage right now, was that what I got back was actually not a gasoline bucket. I got back a Galacticraft fuel bucket. I don't know if Galacticraft fuel is equivalent to gasoline for the purpose of this generator. I'm hoping it is. I don't know if I will have that issue where I get that particular fuel back from the rancher. So there's a little bit of guesswork here. I am going to go ahead and set up the generator. I also have cows to generate biodiesel and diesel if I need them. I don't think I have enough cows to completely keep that generator supplied using biodiesel or diesel cows, but we'll see if I have to resort to that, and if I do have to resort to it, how well it works. So what I'm going to need for this quest is I'm going to have to do 14 crafts of heavy engineering blocks. I've already done 2 crafts of them for other purposes. I'm going to have to do 3 crafts of generator blocks, and I'm going to have to do 5 crafts of radiator blocks. Let's just do these in reverse order, starting with the radiator block. The radiator block is going to require some steel ingots and copper ingots around a water bucket. So if I go here into my, I think I want this one. I have 5 water buckets already set up in the ME system. I set up some of the sub-combines for this already. I'm going to need copper and steel. So it was 4 copper around the water bucket, and for steel, 4 on the corners for that. So let's do this 5 times. So that will give me 10 radiator blocks, and it will finish the radiator block portion of this. Now on the generator block, that is, how many times did I need to do that combined? I need to do that combined 3 times, and on this one it is steel across the top and bottom, electrum on the right and left side, and in the center a kinetic dynamo. The kinetic dynamo is, I've made one of these before, I believe. It's copper wire coils on top, iron ingots across the bottom, redstone on the top corners, and the copper wire coils is low voltage wire coils all arranged all around an iron ingot, and low voltage wire coils are copper around a stick. And I think I've actually already got the dynamo set up in here, so I can skip all those other steps for now and just make 3 kinetic dynamos. And okay, so I've got those now. It was steel across the top and bottom, like that, and then electrum on the horizontal edges. So electrum right here. And I've done that combined 3 times, getting 6 generator blocks, and so I finished that piece. Now heavy engineering block, I believe the 2 combines I did to make this before were so that I could get the metal presses made, because each one of them requires a heavy engineering block. These are pistons and steel around an electrum block, with the top and bottom being one of these steel mechanical components, or a couple of them. And these are just steel on the corners around a copper ingot. So let's see how many of those I need. I'm going to have to do 14 of these combines. I will do all 14 of them because I'm going to need to have the blocks to build the generator. And to do 14 of these combines, I'm going to need 28 of the engineering components. What were those things? I have to look up what those were called again. They're called steel mechanical components. And so I'm going to need 28 of these. In the meantime, I can go ahead and get the rest of it set up. Let's go back to that recipe. Steel on the corners, pistons, so I'm going to need 28 pistons as well, and electrum. So put the electrum in there, and the steel. And the mechanical pumps are done, so we'll put them in there. And the pistons right here. So we'll be done when we get 28 of these. There we go. And that finishes this quest. Get half a heart for it. And let's see what we got in our greater reward bag. A liquid transfer node, which I really probably don't need at all, since you can't even make liquids with it here. So I just put that manual away, and I'm definitely going to need it, because let's go downstairs and start constructing this machine. The manual does give a pattern for laying it out, I'm not sure that you will be able to see it on the screen, so I will just take and initiate building it, and we'll see how it works. So it's got 6 of these generator blocks on one side, arranged like, let's just go ahead and put it right on the edge here. Okay. Then it's got, looks like 27 of the heavy engineering blocks arranged in a 3 by 3 by 3 cube. Like this. And then it's got 9 of the radiator blocks on this side over here. Just like that. And to complete construction, I have to whack it with an engineer's hammer. Let me see if I've got that on me right there. And where does it say to put it? Oh, wrong book. It says to hit either the central generator or central radiator with an engineer's hammer. So we'll just come over here to the radiator side and whack, and there it built. So there's our diesel generator. So I see a block here. Well, there's some sort of block here which does something, and there's like a hole on the top here which does something, I guess. And it looks like I've got an outlet over here, which means I probably did not locate this the way that I really needed to, but we'll see. So I'm going to guess that one of these, maybe this right over here on the generator side of it, is the power outlet, and either this or this up top is the fuel inlet. Let's see if the book actually says. It says fuel is to be input at the bottom corners of the generator, whereas energy will be output to up to 3 connection points on the top. So energy output is here, here, and here, not where I anticipated. And fuel input, it says on the bottom corners. So fuel input looks like it can go in there, and not sure where the other corner is that would accept it. Maybe underneath it? I don't know. Okay, so the small terminal on the side will turn off the generator if supplied with a redstone signal. That's going to be this right here. And there's nothing on this side, so I might actually take advantage. It says here you can mirror the generator by clicking the top center of the generator block side with an engineer's hammer. So that means that I can flip this around the other way if I click right here. Well, yeah, you sort of can, but it just mirrored it left to right. It didn't mirror it the way that I really would prefer to have it mirrored. No, actually I do want it this way because I want this output over here in case I need it. Okay, so the next thing to do is going to be to get this thing some fuel. It doesn't appear to have a user interface in it. I mean, if you click on it, you get nothing. So I do have set up here spot for cows. Let's go ahead and build a cage for them. And it doesn't have to be as confined as the cows upstairs, because I'm only going to, upstairs I'm trying to actually keep 3 cows within reach of each rancher. Here there's only going to be 1 rancher, and I can actually just cram all of the cows into a cage without having them wander into an area that's monitored by another rancher. So we'll just set up a 2x2 area in the center of this thing. And you know, I ran out of iron bars. Let's go upstairs and get some more iron bars. I'll be right back. Okay, I finished the cage, and it's now time to finish the, put the rancher in place. So the rancher just needs to face into that cage, and it faces out over here. Fuel can go in that corner right there. So I'm just going to connect it up with a conduit like that. It's interesting that it's going to try to connect at that point, which I don't want to have it doing. And I'm going to go ahead and specifically state the directions that I want this to pull. I want it to pull out of the rancher, and I want it to go into the generator right there. And hopefully that is the right connection point. If it's not, I guess I'll find out. So I just need to put cows in there now. So we'll put, I'll tell you what, before I do that, let me test something else. I need a tank maybe. Let me run upstairs and get a tank. This actually will not be a time-consuming thing, but I need to get off at the right level. And a small one will do. And what I want to do with this tank is I want to go ahead and test that if it will load the fuel that I have into this generator. So we'll set that tank to output by hitting it with a wrench. Now just get these fuel buckets. These are Galacticraft fuel, which is what I got from my gasoline cows. Let me just put this in the bucket or in the tank, and it looks like it did disappear immediately. And I can't tell if this generator is doing anything, but it might be doing something. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've got a capacitor or something I could put on there to collect power output from it. I think I might have some immersive engineering capacitors in storage up here. Let's see. Yeah, so here's the high voltage one. Let's see if I can hook this up in some way to where it will collect power and I can see what's going on. I'll just put an energy conduit here, which is supposed to be one of the outputs. Now it does say that it has a lot of power in it now, so I can actually just tell from the energy conduit it looks like I don't need the capacitor. So I'm good there. And then, so let's go ahead and put these cows in here. And I'm just going to put 2 in here for now because I believe 2 will completely fuel this thing. So we'll put a cow there and a cow there. They're not going to produce any fuel for a bit because they start with the timeout on them. But these cows should be sufficient, I believe, to completely fuel this generator all the time. And one way to store maybe just a little surplus fuel here and make sure that I know what's going on is change that tank to the standard mode and set the mode to in-out with the auto extract, and maybe it will store surplus fuel that way. And I guess at this point I just need to hook the generator up into the main power system. I want to use these Ender energy conduits, which do have enough capacity to take all of the power that this generator will provide. And because it's the Ender ones, I need to actually hook it up somewhere where I have Ender energy conduits. So I guess I'm going to hook it up to this point right here. I'll just have to make a path through the ceiling. Alright, so that's now hooked up to the main power system, and it should actually be filling up the capacitor upstairs pretty quickly. Let's take a look. So yes, it's filling it up at 157,000 RF per tick at the moment. Some of that's coming from the other generators. but obviously it's generating tons more power than I was before. So if I can ever get some paradox, I can run a whole lot more lasers for sure, and I should be able to start doing a great deal with power. Might even go ahead and advance to the point where I can set up quarries and start specifically quarrying the nether and setting up some more ore processing there, and that will solve my peridot problem eventually. They're pretty rare, so the nether wouldn't just be pouring out peridots, but that would be one solution. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for this episode. Some of the recent ones have been running a little longer, but guess not this one. So if you enjoyed the episode, I would certainly appreciate it if you did a like, subscribe, comment, or share. That will help other people see the episode on YouTube and will not only help my channel, but anybody who could benefit from the episode will be able to see it and discover it, I guess is probably the best word. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next episode.